What's up guys, David here, and by now you probably know a good amount about the Galaxy S8. You know that it has a big, beautiful infinity display, and that the fingerprint scanner is now on the back but is really hard to reach. You know that the navigation buttons are now software based, and that the home button is always on and pressure sensitive. And finally, you know that Samsung added a dedicated button to the side of the phone for their new voice assistant called Bixby, not that anyone was really asking for it. So today I figured why not do something a little bit different and talk about the things you probably don't already know. Starting off with the higher end third model that not only has more RAM at 6GB instead of only 4, but it also has more internal storage at 128GB, double what's available on the other models. Now, if this sounds like the Galaxy S8 for you, and for me honestly, well, the bad news is you can only buy it if you live in China or Korea, unless of course you plan on importing it. But if you don't want to import and have to give up things like support for Samsung Pay, the second thing you might not know is Samsung is going to offer an unlocked model of the Galaxy S8 without any of the carrier bloatware just 3 weeks after the initial launch. But be warned, Samsung did a really bad job at updating the unlocked Galaxy S7 last year, which you would think would kind of be the other way around, but it wasn't, and there's no telling if the story will be any different with the S8. Third thing you might not know is there will actually be two different chipsets on the Galaxy S8, one with Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 and the other with Samsung's Exynos 8895. And according to some benchmarks, it looks like the Exynos variant is going to be a little bit more powerful. Of course, we won't know the full story until our phone buff style speed test. Thumbs up if you guys are excited to see that. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the Exynos variant outperforms, since this is exactly what happened last year with the S7. The good news is, the fourth thing you might not know is that all of the S8 variants will be using faster UFS 2.1 storage compared to UFS 2.0, which first debuted on the Galaxy S6. This faster storage should improve things like multitasking, app load-up times, and file transfer speeds. UFS 2.1 should also lead to faster burst shot and panorama stitching in the camera, while also making photo thumbnails in the gallery load up faster as well. Which brings us to the fifth thing that you might not know, which has to do with the camera. So with the help of a new image signal processor, or ISP, the S8 is capable of multi-frame processing, which will take multiple photos when you press the shutter, and then use those multiple frames to create a better looking final photo. This is a lot like what Google is doing with the Pixel's HDR+, but it's happening at a hardware level on the S8, meaning it should take less time for it to process the photo. This allows you to review it right after you take it without having to wait for the photo to finish processing. In addition to the ISP, the S8 is actually using a new camera sensor. One of the new variants is Sony's IMX333, which is the same sensor Sony is using in their upcoming XZ Premium, a phone that's capable of shooting slow motion video at an incredible 960 frames per second. But before you get too excited, from what I've seen, it doesn't look like the S8 will be able to shoot at 960 FPS. But the point here is that the sensor is technically new. The sixth thing, like the camera, doesn't look any better on the spec sheet, but is actually better in reality in an improved battery. No, I'm not talking about an improvement in battery life on any given day, but an improvement in the life of the battery in any given year. According to Samsung, the S8's battery degrades much more slowly than the batteries on other phones, with it having an effective battery capacity of 95% after a year's worth of charge cycles. For comparison, the S7 has an effective battery capacity of only 80% after a year, so if you do the math, after a year of normal charging, the S8's battery would be an effective 2850 mAh compared to the S7's 2400 mAh. So while the battery life won't be any better than the S7 on launch day, over time the S8's battery should last you a little bit longer. The seventh thing that you may not know is something that does show up on the spec sheet, and that the S8 is the first phone to use Bluetooth 5.0. Now, why does this matter? Well, in addition to having 4 times the range of Bluetooth 4.2, Bluetooth 5.0 also offers 2 times the bandwidth. One of the benefits of this is you can push audio over Bluetooth to 2 different headphones or Bluetooth speakers at the same time. Now, while this is definitely cool, the feature I'm actually more excited about is an option the S8 has to control audio output at an app level. So for example, you can set it so only the audio from your music app outputs over to your Bluetooth speaker, while the rest of the phone's audio, whether it be a Snapchat or a text message ringtone, will come through the phone's speaker itself. The eighth thing that you may not know about the Galaxy S8 is it's also the first phone to support gigabit LTE speeds, which is over double what the S7 could do. Now, for most people, this is overkill, as you probably don't live in an area that supports gigabit LTE, but if you do, then no other phone is going to give you faster data. The ninth thing that you may not know about the Galaxy S8 is Samsung didn't initially plan plan on putting the fingerprint scanner on the back. It was originally supposed to be under the screen where the pressure sensitive home button is, but apparently they ran into some issues where like things wouldn't have been ready in time, so they opted to put the fingerprint scanner on the back. Now like that sounds like a reasonable excuse, but at the same time I'm not sure why they couldn't have put the fingerprint scanner a little bit lower, but hey, at least Samsung added a gesture that lets you bring the notification shade down by swiping on the scanner. And then finally, the 10th thing that you may not know, or at least there seems to be some confusion about, is no, the S8 doesn't have stereo speakers, okay? It's a single bottom firing mono speaker, and from what I can tell, it's no better than the speaker on the S7, maybe only a little bit louder. However, Samsung kind of makes up for this by including AKG headphones in the box, which is supposedly a $99 value, but then again, they raised the price of the S8 by $100 over what they sold the S7 for last year. So yeah, the S8 is officially more expensive than the iPhone. Who would have ever thought? Anyways, that is it for me in this video. There will be a bunch of coverage on the S8 coming up soon, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the very next episode.